Ty Bartell with another edition of Coach's Corner, and I'm giving a lot of love to the Lions right now as Heartland Christian's boys basketball head coach Josh Scott joining me right now. Coach Scott, how are we doing, man?
I'm doing well. Doing well. How about you?
Not doing bad, man. I'm getting to talk a lot of hoops right now, so it's a great time for me, and I always love talking a little bit of basketball with you as well, sir. What are things looking like on the boys' side of things? I mean, you talk about practice season, you talk about scrimmage season right now. How are things looking right now? I know a lot of people look forward to this season in the Heartland
Yeah,
Christian community.
yeah. It's an exciting time as always. I mean, this time of year is just there's a lot of excitement because each year is different, right? So I mean, last year we had a really fun year, and this year's group is just trying to duplicate that and then add some to it. That's their goal, is to try and build off of what we did in the last several years. So there's a lot of hungry guys. There's a lot of guys that want to um, obviously do well, but also just again build off that. But we're also young too. So I mean, that's the caveat this year, is that we had 5 seniors last year, guys that have been around the program a long time. This year's group is just a little less experienced, just a little learning curve, but we're still getting it done.
When you talk about this year's group of guys, too, let's do a sort of meet the team segment. Who's going to be getting some minutes on the floor this year? Who's going to have an impact on the floor for the Lions this year?
Yeah, I mean, starting with our senior group, Johnny Meyer, he's a guy that's willing to hear and talk to you next, but he's a guy that's part of the senior group of Hoffman and Spencer Pruitt and Connor Norbo. He's a guy that's been playing for a little while now and getting varsity minutes and lettering. And then, the junior class, we've got Isaiah Matthews, who had some really big games last year, coming off the bench for us as a sophomore. We've got Corbin Saltia, who's been a really bright spot. He's improved a ton since last year. And then Abe Cook, who's looking to come in and play a little bit. And then our sophomore class is a group that's a special class for us. And Jack.
When we look at
Sorry, I might have.
Yeah, just a little bit of technical difficulties, just a little bit of lag. And no, we're all good. We're all good. I think we got you back. When we
Cool.
talk about this team, though, from last year, I know you lost some senior experience, though, but talk about the experience for the guys that are returning, though, from last year too. That was a fun, magical run in the tournament time, man. And I think
Yeah.
you were surprising a lot of people, a lot of quote unquote upsets
Yeah.
from your guys' side.
Yeah, I think this what we learned from last year was just it's that old cliche, like we want to be playing our best basketball in February, best basketball at the end of the year. But what separated last year from other years was the unity and the closeness. And so I think these guys are now feeding off of that and understanding that we really need each other and we really need to stick together in order to do something like that. And so we're just trying to take that same approach. And these guys, like I mentioned, Kayla Conaway, Meyer, Matthews, Morgan, Reed, Satia. Those guys are guys that got to be part of it. And once you get that little taste of that run and that success and the madness in March, it's contagious as all get out. We've been talking about getting ready and going again since the day that we lost. Those underclassmen that are now back. When you get to experience something like that and a run like that, it's just one of those things you're just dying to get back. You want to be back there and get another shot.
I love a group of hungry guys too going into this season. That always makes for a fun season full of opportunities. When you talk about this team's strengths and this team's sort of identity, the ones you're going to be playing to get your wins this year, what do you see? What do you foresee the strengths being of this team?
Well, it's twofold. So even though we're young and we're playing younger guys, we do have some guys that have been there's still a veteran presence, but it's young, and it's so when we talk about like senior leaders and having a whole group of guys that have really done it for a while, it's a different makeup. But the strengths in that is that we know that our ceiling is unknown, right? We know that the ceiling can be really high because we just don't really know exactly who we are yet. We do know that the staples in our program is that we're going to play as hard as we possibly can. We're going to play fast. We're going to play with pace. I've heard a lot of coaches talking about that in different interviews as we've been going through the preseason, both girls and boys. Our goal is that we want to say that but mean it, and I don't, and no disrespect to any other team, but we're trying to be different, maybe one more gear in how we play and our pace. So I think that can be our strength. And then obviously we have other things that to overcome as well. We're vertically challenged. That's been that way for a long time, since the D'Onofrio days in Baker and those guys that were here. When we lost that height, we turned to, okay, let's use our speed and our quickness and our shooting ability. So those are the things that we're focusing on, and we're trying to defend like crazy, but stay at our pace.
You've probably had to do a ton of homework this year as far as how basketball season's going to look like, because not only have divisions expanded from 4 to 7, but Coach Lib also reminded me too that you guys are now also in a conference too, which
Yes.
also slipped my mind. So you're in a conference, you have different looks in the regular season, potentially a couple different looks now in the postseason, a little bit maybe shorter run. What are things looking like in both aspects now for you?
Yeah, so this is uncharted waters. That's the other exciting part of it, is that our volleyball team made it to the league championship this year. So that was super exciting to see them do that. We're playing some new teams we've never seen before: Steubenville Catholic Central, Conotton Valley, Valley, West Virginia. We're going down to St. Clairsville and playing at the host site for our tournament championships down at the Echo Center in St. Clairsville. So there's definitely been a lot of moving and shaking with our schedule. But that's the exciting part too, is that we're going to see a whole different variety. We're going to be playing, all over the place with different referees, different styles of basketball, and we're hoping that that's going to make us a little more well-rounded too, so that it's not just the local teams here. And obviously, over the years, we've kind of shown that we're not afraid to schedule up, and we're not going to shy away from some teams like we've played West Branch, we played Salem twice again this year. We've had Minerva, we've had these bigger schools. We have Youngstown East this year. We're playing them up at the Cavs Arena in late January. So, we're trying to go out and play some teams that are really good, so that we can try to get there too. That's where we are.
Come tournament time too, how's the field looking for where you guys ended up to in expanded divisions? Have not much of a different field too. I'm sure a lot of the juggernauts too that are representative and the smaller ones have stayed in a lot of the smaller divisions. But how are things? How have you foreseen or how have you looked at the expanded divisions, and what's your opinion on them?
Yeah, I think it can only be good, right? So we have more teams that get an opportunity to make runs, and when as the basketball side, football is king at the state. We know that they've had 7 divisions for quite some time now, and we're over on the basketball side saying, hey, we have more schools, more teams than football, and we're still playing with 4. So, but that won't change the fact that there's definitely, like you said, the juggernauts. You have Warren JFK, that's been a traditional powerhouse back down there. You got Cornerstone Christian and Babe's son, Quinn, the Kwasniaks are back.
Yeah.
They're back. They're going to be another favorite. Bristol has a lot of kids back out that maybe hadn't played in years past that I've been told about. So, I mean, you're going to still have your guys that it's going to be tough to get through. The difference is there's probably a little bit more parity. We lost Richmond Heights. We lost Dalton. We lost Mogador. Even teams like Lisbon, those guys are all moving up to 6. So there is less of a pool. So common math would tell you that that obviously should give you a better shot. But it definitely, no matter what division you're in, it's going to be a tough out to make it out of the districts.
You, more than most coaches, I feel like, do a great job on the boys' side in getting your guys to just give you 150% every single season. And that's not easy to do. I know high school boys, you sometimes you could get some ones that are stubborn too and think they know it all. Sometimes they're more receptive too. High school boys, they have their own personalities, they have their own issues, they're growing up, right? What's your secret, man? How are you able to connect with these guys too and get the most out of them too?
Well, thank you for that, first off. And then I think, for us, there's a few staples and few pieces of it. They need to know that we love them and that we care about them, right? And it's a relational thing. So they know that we got their back no matter what, all the time. I think that we try to make it as fun as we can too, even though there's not always a lot of fun when you have to work real hard, right? And so we try to balance that. And then these guys are not that far removed from days here where numbers were really down and the program just wasn't, in the win-loss column wasn't exactly, top tier. So when we first got here, guys were super hungry to want to work hard and just turn it around. Now, like we said before, it's more of this infectious. We want to put our own stamp now on the program, and it's one of those things that we're just we're trying our best to maintain that culture and maintain, some of the non-negotiables for us of just how hard we work, how we communicate, how we treat each other. Those are things that are staples, and I think the kids know that. And we're also really blessed to have really good staff too. I mean, we got guys. Ronnie Matthews has been down with our junior high as a former player. He's been coaching them up for years now for us. Pops is with us. We picked up Chris Cadvan, who's a former head coach at United. Josh Demuda has been with us now for several years, former player of ours. So we've had consistency in the staff too. So us being all on the same page is pretty vital too.
Talk about you as well as a person with this community. You pour your heart out to Heartland Christian, man, and I mean, you wear it on your sleeve, you wear it on your chest all the time, man. I mean, you are Heartland Christian. Whenever anybody thinks of it, I think one of the first people they think of is you when in terms of Heartland Christian athletics. Of course, you're also being the AD over there, but what keeps you coming back, man? I know it's a time-consuming job too. I know you love it. You gotta love what you do. That's why you're here. But what keeps you coming back year in and year out, man?
Oh, thank you. And you know what? This school is special, and I've said it before. Like, there's a lot of people that say we don't have a community because we have kids that live all over the place. We don't. We have a family. We have a family here, and it's real. And until you got to be part of it and experience it, most people can't understand it. We're all treated well, beyond measure. I mean, the people we're so well taken care of as staff, supported. So that's I've been longing for that. I've been places before that didn't necessarily always have my back, because of any other reason, whatever. It doesn't matter. Obviously now, because the Lord led me here. But I couldn't be. I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity, and seeing kids seeing kids excel, and the programs, the school is growing, the programs are growing. I mean, we've had freshman basketball teams, we had a freshman volleyball team. We've had, in a world where sports are dwindling down and numbers are falling, we've been able to see that success rate of having just numbers, and also some winning too. But that's the most important thing. We have coaches that are here that want to disciple kids. We have administration that has our backs and wants the same thing. We're all in alignment. So I think that's really the biggest thing is, when you feel wanted somewhere, you're willing to bust your hump for them. So that's where I'm at with it.
I know you do your homework too. I know you've seen some of these interviews, so you probably know the theme question I got coming for you too. But it is one that I'm going with all coaches. It goes to the lessons of the game of basketball. I know you've taught countless young men the sport of basketball for years now too, and helping them transition that into real life scenarios. But I want to know what the biggest lesson that the sport of basketball has taught you that you've translated to real life scenarios.
Oh man, the biggest lesson you did. I honestly have not done a good job of catching these, so you're catching me a little bit off guard. But I would just say that it goes back. I said this earlier in the interview, but just the relational aspect of it. And when you got guys, you have some coaches that refer to it like going to war with guys and all the different cliches that are out there. But at the end of the day, we spend so much time together here that a lot of times throughout the basketball season, I'm seeing these kids more than I'm seeing my own. Because they're already going to bed at a decent, hopefully a decent time. And I've already spent a couple hours with these guys, and I might only get an hour with my kids. But that's part of the lessons too. Like, listen, I'm here for you, and this is important to me. And if it's important to them, then we can accomplish that team atmosphere. But just having those relations with, the former players coming back and our kids getting to see that, and just, it's amazing. Like, I have former players that are texting me about our scrimmages now that have been gone, and like, hey, I got on Huddle and watched, and talking about these games, and that means that there's that level of care, right? And it carries on, and it's that family atmosphere. So what that's taught me is that these kids, they all matter more than this stuff, and which I love to share, obviously, on with you and anyone that'll listen, but all those relations mean more than anything. It's person over player. And sometimes that those lines can get a little gray when you're trying to coach and you're trying to teach. But I think at the end of the day, when that underlying feeling is there, that we care. And then we said that even last year when we were going through our run, our kids weren't playing to win. We were playing to be together one more day. So, and that was real, that's real. So I think, I attribute that to our run, and I'm hoping that this group can catch on to that and latch on and understand, like, hey, we're all here for a common cause, and it's the teamwork, it's the leadership, it's communication, it's relationships. I mean, those are the things that all sports can teach you. But I mean, we're really trying to hammer home here with these guys.
I could get down with all that, man. It's the kids that are the reason that we're here, man, too. It's all
Yeah.
about the kids, too.
Yeah.
Kids first, absolutely.
Yeah.
Final question for you, man, and then we'll let you go. And it's a three-parter. Because basketball season for so long in the state of Ohio and the high school realm has started right around Thanksgiving, it always reminds me, Thanksgiving reminds me of high school basketball and vice versa. So I need you to first and foremost shout out your first game, shout out the community, your family, the family, why they need to be there this year, support this team, and also shout out your favorite Thanksgiving Day dish.
My favorite Thanksgiving Day dish. Okay, our first game, the shout out for the first game is our tip-off tournament at Lisbon. So we go every year. We were given Salem for the second year in a row, so we get to take on those guys on November 29th at Lisbon at 6 o'clock. So we'll be opening up on Black Friday night and taking on a very good Salem team, a really well-coached Salem team. Shouting out to my family, and that's, I mean, I would say I'd be remiss to not mention those guys. My wife Addie, my son JJ, and my daughter Josie. They are so supportive. They love the school. They love the program. They love our kids. They're part of, when we say family, they're part of it. They're here in the summers with these guys. We do, anywhere that we go, they're going to show up. We have a craft show this weekend, and my wife and kids are like, we're going to go to the craft show. So you can't have success as a coach without that period. I mean, if you don't have support from home, so they love it here. Now, in the Heartland family, I mean, I hope all of our extended Heartland basketball family, I just hope that we can do you well and we can play hard and be fun to watch. That's what we always want, is that. And then also that we're honoring God in our play too, so that we're not, we're going out and we're doing, when we talk about a different pace, a different way that we play, we also want to be different in our actions and how we carry ourselves too. So that's really important. My favorite holiday dish is, I mean, it's got to be stuffing. I can't believe I'm saying that, but as I've gotten older, that's the little gravy on top, man. That's where I'm at. It's there. If I'm a turkey, if I do too much turkey like anybody else, I'm already ready to pass out and only last through the day. So I'm probably a stuffing and gravy guy.
You're padding the stats for the top spot right now. Stuffing's just leading the way, man, and you're just getting the votes. I feel like just building the way on the top spot. Coach Scott, I'm so excited for this team this year. I know that Heartland community, that Heartland family is always going to be supporting you and behind you too. I know they're going to be out there, but we're going to be out there as well, supporting you on the hardwood. We're excited for you guys this year, and just excited to see what you guys can do.
Yeah, thank you so much, and as always, we appreciate you guys so much. I mean, what you've done. I feel like a broken record when we do that, but what you've done for the area to be able to see these guys and girls play, unmatched, man. We really appreciate it.
Well, we really appreciate you being a part of our family here at YSN. This has been a first edition of Coach's Corner with Josh Scott.